Hello, everyone. The sacrifice is upon us. It begins today. Any minute. Actually, theoretically, I could get a call and we could have to end this stream because the sacrifice is beginning. That could happen.
Wow. Do I have to bring like a baby goat?
Without
blemish?
Do you know anything about the sacrifice?
No, I'm a sacrificial virgin. Wait, is that why you brought me on this live stream, Nicole?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Illuminati confirmed. Good grief. Everybody, the safe word is proof of work. If I say it again, then I'm in trouble. Call the police.
All right. So, guys, here's a question for you. I can't understand, with the neckline of this, I don't know if I should wear this necklace or not wear this necklace. So if you think I should wear it, hit the like. And if you don't think I should wear it, hit the dislike. Let me know. Like, don't like. Like, don't like. All right, guys. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is Seth Estrada of Mine Your Biz. And Seth was with me at the beginning of my journey with HEX. So because I was guest hosting Seth's Monday night show, Mine Your Biz Mondays.
Those are fun times. I'm very fond of the work that we did together, Nicole, and I think that it's a shame that the world doesn't get to see us do some of our duo work anymore. But yeah, thank you for inviting me back on. Really, it's a pleasure to be broadcasting with you again and covering some of the news and talking about some stuff that's kind of late and trending and breaking in cryptocurrency. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, last minute too, making yourself available. That was really nice of you. Thank you. Now I remember why it was that we started talking is because someone had said something really mean about me in a comment on one of your streams. And I responded, and then you responded to my comment, and that. So you were fresh in my mind.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. As you know, we've spent enough time off camera or off live stream and live streaming together to know I'm not really a big fan of bullies. And in real life, most people don't really have enough. They don't really. Their convictions tend to wane a little bit in real life when I talk to people who wouldn't talk that way. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always a little bit shocked when I see people think that it's okay to talk that way on the internet. So yeah, maybe it gets me into trouble sometimes in the comment section and other places. But I think maybe they said something that was kind of rude, so I put them in their place.
Yeah, and it was something it was something about how all I could do was read, because it was from our Saturday show when we were kind of scripted, and I wrote the analysis and then read it while we were recording, and I was like, okay, I mean, I am reading instead of going off the cuff, but I also wrote that analysis.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you spent hours before that gathering all of the necessary intel to be able to synthesize a proper analysis. It wasn't just something that you took headlines and perjured from somewhere else, or plagiarized rather from somewhere else. This was something that you generated entirely on your own with research. So yeah, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way too.
Yeah, people are rude. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So, Seth, so I have a few things to discuss with you, and I know everybody wants us to talk about the sacrifice, especially because you don't know what it is. So first let's talk about, why did you get into cryptocurrency?
Oh, man. Okay, so we're gonna drag this out again. So I have a couple of brothers who were involved in multi-coin mining pools back in the day. This is before you could go onto GitHub and just click fork on somebody else's work, and in an afternoon or even in maybe 30 minutes or so have a multi-coin mining pool set up just over on Linode or DigitalOcean. I'm going to be talking to some of the geeks in your audience here. You'll understand some of this stuff, but I mean, it's straightforward enough. The code is all there now. Back then, it wasn't, and you had to make everything from scratch. I had a couple of brothers that were doing that, and they told me back then, hey, you need to pay attention to these cryptocurrencies where we think Bitcoin is a really great opportunity. It looks really good. It was well past, Bitcoin dollar parity at that point, right? In 2013-ish, when I first had my first exposure to it, it was pretty established, still very volatile, seemed very risky to a lot of people, but I didn't act. And I was aware of the fact that there was Bitcoin and there were other altcoins and forks and clones and such. So I kind of got that education firsthand from people who were deeply involved in building tools for proof of work mining, which is kind of the front lines of security and block rewards. Yeah, I know. No, I already did it. Okay, well, you asked, so scrub that one, guys. All right, so I'm not in hot water yet, but really do watch out for me. But that was kind of how I got my first exposure, right? And I sort of was aware of that. I heard the lamentations of my brother, who was like, I'm not really sure about this Ethereum thing. It could be a scam. They're calling it an ICO. Like, I have to give up one full Bitcoin for this, but I don't know, could be good. And of course, like a year later, and ever since then, it's like, oh man, I should have given up just that one Bitcoin. It wasn't too much. That wasn't everything I had. And it was just like, it's nonstop complaining, woulda, shoulda, couldas. And so, yeah, the rest is kind of history. Yeah, it was kind of weird, but I have to credit my family for being just a little bit more tech forward than I was at the time. Ironic, since I was a tech trainer for Samsung at the time, and then for Google, and just for like the Central Texas area, and then a senior trainer turning senior, or a national trainer turned senior national trainer at Microsoft after that. But it was all kind of like consumer-oriented tech stuff. During that time, they told me about cryptocurrencies, starting with Bitcoin, various alts, and then Ethereum, and kind of all the promises of tokens and ICOs and all this other stuff. And so I heard a lot about it, but I just didn't act when they said it, because I was like, all right, I'm going to kind of like, I get this front row seat to what's happening for you in your portfolio. And I see you riding this emotional roller coaster. And I'm like, I just need a tiny bit less volatility for me, married, have 3 kids. So like, that's not like, I can't live that life right now. I just, based on what I see you doing, right, like this, right. I don't know that I have room in my life for that right now. But of course, running up towards 2016, as Ethereum mining became profitable again, and then 2017, when everything ran up, it just became undeniable, Nicole. At that point, I was like, I can't miss out on this. Like, we all shared that experience of seeing the 2008 financial crisis and seeing what happened with the credit crunch and all the other subprime lending that led up to it. I divested myself of a property that I probably wasn't qualified to own as a college student back then, but my wife and I got out, thank goodness, okay, unscathed. So we lived that, and it made sense, having followed Ron Paul since 2005, 2006-ish. And so some of that stuff made sense to me. The ideological reasons for getting into cryptocurrencies made sense, but it wasn't until I started to see price move like everybody else, like a moth to the flame. I was like, okay, I gotta go see what is this thing. And thankfully I haven't gotten ultra burned yet, but made mistakes, and here we are after.
Have you missed opportunities since?
Oh my gosh!
Since that early Bitcoin opportunity.
That to be involved in cryptocurrency, truly involved in cryptocurrency, is to either have a missed opportunity that cost you hundreds of thousands or millions, or to have lost that much in your P&L, or just burned coins because you sent them to the wrong address or whatever. If you haven't done that yet, you're not really in cryptocurrency. That's true. That's my firm belief. So until then, it's you're still just speculating, you're kind of dabbling. You're not really in until you've proven that you have that kind of you've taken a hit like that, and you get back up and you come back for more. That's my take on it.
Got it. All right. So there's new people watching now. So I just want to remind everyone that if you want me to put this necklace on, please hit like. And if you don't want me to put it on, hit dislike. Like, dislike. Okay. Engagement is everything, Seth.
Yeah, guys, sometime today, Nicole's looking at the live upvote count right now, and after the live stream's over, she can't put the necklace on. What are you doing? Hit the button.
Yeah. So, okay, Seth, would you say that it's reasonable to say that you got into cryptocurrency to make money?
Well, did
you want to increase your purchasing power?
It is. It's always a little bit complicated, the response for me, because I do think that, and I apologize, I'm looking away. I just wanted to get into your live comments here and see what you guys are. Oh, there we go. Make sure that we're actually eyes on the comments. Yeah, of course. Making money is always part of it. Like so many others, with cryptocurrencies and with blockchain as a technology, there are so many foundational level opportunities that can branch into so many other directions that the sound money play was the thing that, of course, that's the dominant narrative within the Bitcoin camp right now, right? It's like, oh, it's sound money. And the shifting narrative of the Ethereum camp is, oh, it's ultra sound money. What can we do to try to like poke the bear, make the Bitcoin maxis angry? But as you and I both know, that hasn't always been the prevailing narrative there.
Yep.
And there's so many still, like so many, it's almost like you see like the Powerball, right? Or like the lotto, all of the little let balls across the little pegboard that fall down and they all filter into little places. I just don't think that we're there yet to know which blockchain technologies and which distributed ledger technologies are going to form the foundation of that future tech push, right? 2015, 2016 in the VC world, it was a buzzword. And that was another thing that kind of turned me off to it for a while, was that I would see pitch teams saying, oh yeah, we're based on blockchain technology. And they'd go in kind of for the short sale to try to get $1 million check from a VC firm or from an angel investor. It was like, ugh, right? Like, no, what are we doing here? Like, you guys are obviously lying. So like, you're not in it for the tech. Clearly you're in it to quickly launch your startup and then build whatever you're going to build over on AWS anyway. And then say it's blockchain.
Yep.
I kind of got a little bit disillusioned there. But I guess like the long story short, like I'm coming back around on that wheel of disillusionment to where I'm like, because this whole thing is in cycles, right? Even the narratives where I'm like, I'm in it for the tech. Yeah, no, I'm on the other side. I'm 100% in it for the money because the money will help us make the tech. Right. And it is this cycle, and hopefully it's virtuous. And the money will
help your family have a nicer, easier, better life, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally. But to answer your question as straightforwardly as possible, I think it is a cycle. And if we choose to be virtuous with it, it can build up. And if we choose not to be, right, money just amplifies more of who you are as a person. So it can always make things worse. But I don't think I'll be a worse person with more money. Do you?
Me? With more money? I mean, I'm still me.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think so. I guess we'll see. Pretty sure that we're going to see.
Right? Yeah. No, we're all going to make it, guys. Thumbs up if you think you're going to make it. And to get that necklace on Nerd Girl.
Yes. Yes. Again. Like. Dislike. Like. Dislike. All right. So, and then mining, because your brother got into mining, but also probably having something to do with mining being a somewhat sustainable income source for you, right? So like it was something that it was like a passive income form, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not naive to the economics of scale that go into mining. Even at that time, it was very apparent that the harder you hit the investment side of your mining operation, both the CapEx and then understanding how to decrease your ongoing fixed costs vis-a-vis, OpEx, that you have something of a business model that you can bank on every year. It is very active, right? I like to counter, because I spent a lot of years around people who were very much sort of the Tony Robbins and like multi-level marketing rah-rah crowd. And in fact, in some cases, I actually did some training for people like that and some contract work for companies in that space. And so that for me too was always like, okay, some of this is a little bit distasteful. It can get to the point of being kind of like you forget to be human, But and I apologize. I went on a little bit of a tangent there. I actually lost my own train of thought because you asked initially. I was trying to inform my response there instead of just being like yes, no, right? Like too much black white turns us into tribes, right? Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure it was a properly informed, informed response there. But oh my gosh, yeah, Brissology, yes, please do, lull me. But remind me your question again.
So if the reason that you got into mining, aside from it being, what your brother was into, was because mining was a way for you to create sustainable passive income.
That reminds me. Okay. So thank you again. I appreciate that. So in the MLM scene, and especially with the sort of like rah-rah crowd, right? Mindset crowd, laptop lifestyle, boss babe, hashtags, all these hashtags, right, are like, they wash over you like, like taking a shower with the municipal water out in like New Jersey, right, or Miami. It's like, oh, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. So, but if I can be trite here, there's a difference between passive income and aggressively pursuing massive income. And that for me on that virtuous cycle, I'm kind of thinking, okay, if I have to be a little more active to crank things up a little bit and get into massive income, I'm okay with that. If it's a little more elbow grease, no problem. But if it includes a passive income strategy, that's fine too, really. But I'm really at that phase where I'm ready to crank things up to 11, and yeah, really get things moving.
Cool. Well, so let's just like quit, beating around the bush, and let me just get to what I want to ask you. And it's like, you want to create more passive income, and has your thinking about HEX and its possibility for generating passive sustainable income changed?
Yes and no. So let me qualify that. Again, you Nicole, you knew it was coming. My dear friend, you knew it was coming. So guys, first off, you should just hit the thumbs up just because Nicole is being such a good sport about having me on the channel. Really, you should. That's the right thing to do. But also because you want to see the necklace. So yes and no.
They're all saying no. They don't like the necklace. They don't want the necklace.
Actions speak louder than words. You keep saying that in the live chat. If you really mean it, commit, right? And hit the down vote. Hit the thumbs down. If you really mean it, just do it, right? We're all talking about transparency and being real and true to yourselves. Guys, come on. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Well, I don't know. Guys, are there a lot of likes and dislikes on the video? Can someone in the comments let me know?
Yeah, I'm just seeing your live counter is like over 50 for upvotes.
75.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I don't have your live metrics. That's your live view count from what I can see, but
yep.
That's awesome. So as far as my views on HEX, it's weird. On one hand, it hasn't fundamentally changed. I've always seen it as being a possible vehicle for really intense income, like really good returns. Where it hasn't changed is that illiquid gains, like unrealized gains, they're ephemeral. They're not really there yet, right? It's a really very hard thing to
okay. Let me just hang on. I've got some numbers for you. And just if we're just talking about, actually, no, I got to go get my other computer. Damn. Even like we're just talking about how much you would have made if you had left your HEX liquid. And I came up with some like specific dates in our streaming history to give you an idea of those numbers. But I have to go get my computer. Can you talk for like 1 minute while I totally
can, because I'm going to spin a yarn here, because on this concept, right, let me tell you some more FOMO stories, right? So there's a great website called I'll write it in the comments here, called bitcoinorshit.com. And that one, you guys could totally make a site like this. If you wanted to induce this kind of FOMO within the HEX community right now, you could do something like this. I just put it in the live comments right there, bitcoinorshit.com. And what it does is it lines up a bunch of different consumer products that you could have purchased with your dirty fiat at any point during Bitcoin's history up till now. And then it tells you the equivalent gains that you would have had in Bitcoin's growth. Nicole, you've seen that one, right? Bitcoinorshit.com.
No, I haven't seen it.
It's hilarious. And honestly, you guys should build something like it. It's a great FOMO-inducing tool, because I've got a game console that I bought for the kids at a specific date on this website that would have absolutely resulted in me being a multimillionaire in Bitcoin holdings right now if I had just withheld like some trivial amount, like $200 from this game, 300, I think, something like that, for this game console that I got my kids for Christmas one year. And so there are always going to be some opportunity costs, but So Hornet UK says it's fun to be right. I'm just going to counter to that. It's almost always more fun to win, and being right doesn't always help you win. It depends on the context.
All right. So let's talk about if you had liquid gains only, and if you had bought HEX and never staked it on a few different days, and how much it would be worth today. Okay.
All right.
I'm
prepared. Seriously. I already,
Liquid value only, not counting any returns that you would have gotten from staking. And by the way, the liquidity of HEX, like people always want to talk about the liquidity. People cash out millions of dollars every hour, essentially. The liquidity exists.
Cool.
So the first time that I mentioned HEX in your stream was on May 18th, 2020. $1,000 liquid today would be worth $36,295.68.
That is awesome.
All right, the next day is that, do you remember the invasion of the hexagons episode where we had RG3 and Crypto Coffee and I think Hexologist come onto this stream, and we asked them all kinds of questions, and then we even went through the 12 points of whether evaluating if something is a scam or not with them. I think the stream's like 3 or 4 hours long. It's super long. Do you remember it?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay. So that was 1 week later, 5/25/2020. If you had $1,000 of a liquid HEX on that day, today you would have $28,100.40.
Wow. Okay, that's done really well.
So the next time is an episode of Scambuster Saturdays that we did on 7/4/2020. It's Hexy, Sexy, or Scam. Do you remember this by any chance?
I do. You felt really strongly about trying to put down a project that was imitating HEX.
I wasn't trying to put it down. It was that there was active crap going on, and I thought that people should know.
Yeah, it's funny because it was largely invisible to the rest of the cryptocurrency industry. So when you brought it up, I was like, I could take it or leave it. But I remember the episode. Yeah.
So if you had bought $1,000 worth of liquid HEX on that day, today it would be worth $38,800.37.
Wow. So it had corrected then. And then that's awesome. Cool. So much better entry point.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, the next time was on July 31st of 2020 when we interviewed Richard on Discourse Syndicate. You must remember that.
I do. Yeah, I remember I was invited on kind of last minute. It was still very cool. Yeah, very, very, very cool group. We weren't if I remember, also that was the week that somebody from within Discourse Syndicate was talking about a competing project.
Yeah.
And they did really well, actually. The charts totally justified them in the following month and a half or 2 months. So I don't know what their exit point was or their exit strategy was, but the project they brought up was made sense for them as a diversification strategy. But yeah.
So it ended up getting completely wrecked, and a lot of people the project had to reset, I think 2 or 3 times. I think it still exists. But
you mean it actually had to roll back, or did it just rebase
so they actually had to
reissue
the coins through an airdrop because there were flaws in the smart contract?
Ooh, that's ugly.
Twice, if not more. So actually what's funny is, so that episode is the episode that someone got excommunicated from the cult of HEX. And it's something that comes up in my streams fairly frequently because I stayed friends with that person and a lot of the people in the community didn't. And I was like, I don't care,
Yeah. Yeah, that's so that's a little bit messed up. So for the benefit of your audience, guys, here's the thing. The literal name of Nicole's show is Building Bridges, not burning them. But you do you. Yep.
So if you had bought $1,000 worth of HEX on that day, today you would have $24,661.45. Again, that's assuming that you didn't stake it at all.
Sure. Okay. So keeping it entirely liquid then and just watching.
Entirely liquid and just price appreciation alone.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
All right. The next time was on August 10th when you and I interviewed Peter McCormick.
Wow. That almost doesn't feel real to me because Peter did not seem happy to be there. But yeah. Yeah.
You said you think he was bothered? I don't know. He seemed fine to me.
I mean, he's Peter, so I'm sure he was just doing his thing.
Yeah. So if you had bought $1,000 worth of HEX on that day, today it would be worth $39,957.49.
Wow. So it had corrected really hard again then at that point. Cool.
So there are always more opportunities.
That's cool. I'll remember that. Yeah. I'm always looking for corrections around the industry for sure.
All right. So my last stream with you was on October 5th of 2020. And if it was Rice was on the episode, I mean, we knew at the time that it was my last stream with you, but that was the end. So if you had bought $1,000 in HEX that day, today you would have $34,975.28.
That's another really strong correction. It seems like of all the points that you mentioned there were a lot of opportunities where it corrected so far that it was an over 30x return. That's interesting. Can you tell me more about the mechanics of HEX that force such a heavy correction?
Sure. Yeah, actually. So I believe that it's because of the staking function. So because people time lock their assets, and then when your time, just like a CD. So, and when your CD matures, you can take profits. And a lot of people cashed out their initial or cashed out their principal, but a lot of people are only taking interest profits.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Yeah. If it's something that you actually want to lock up, sure. Yeah. What you do with your interest is, makes some sense. Like if you want it to compound, obviously you want to keep some in there, but taking some profit always kind of makes sense to me for sure.
Yeah, well, and especially because the people who got in extremely early had, massive gains from interest alone. So that by itself can cause, major price swings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That makes sense. It sounds like then, like you're mentioning right now, that there are a lot of people who are taking profits, kind of actively taking profits, that you're seeing liquidity in the millions per hour, depending on what's happening, what different people who are holding HEX decide to do. It seems like at that time, still, maybe it wasn't able to withstand quite the same amount of sell pressure.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Because at the time, the overall market cap was much lower. So yeah, and the liquidity on exchanges would have been much lower as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy because literally everything else in the large caps, all the large caps in crypto, not from the last date that you mentioned, October, was it? Almost everything from that point forward has done a 10x. So it's like it's been a pretty furious ride, as you know, right?
Yeah,
like we've all shared this lived experience, right? And the charts just they don't lie, right? So.
So before I go on with a few more dates,
not
that are relevant to you and my friendship, but that are relevant to kind of what happened with HEX and just giving you an idea of its price fluctuation, someone really wants to know the secret to your beard.
Oh,
Bristology would like to know.
It's an easy one. Be a man. Wait 3 weeks.
Okay. Oh, all right. There you go.
I know. These are guys. You knew what you were signing up for when you clicked play. Let's be real. For real though, thank you. In all humility, thank you. I know I'm very gifted with a nice beard line, so I don't want to make light of that. It's a very kind compliment.
All right. So October 14th was the day that my HEX TikTok premiered. Did you happen to see it? Do you have any? So you remember my Bitcoin TikTok? I made a HEX version. And this is entirely due to outside forces. I stopped using TikTok. I was at that point looking at building a brand, and then I was like, I can't do this. It's taking up too much of my life. It's super addictive. So I missed the HEX one, I think. Okay.
Did you repost it on Twitter? Because I might have watched it there.
Actually, I reposted it today.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you bought $1,000 worth of HEX on that day, which was October 14th, 2020, today you would have $30,562.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Okay, so
Yep.
there have been a couple opportunities then with really heavy corrections, like you're saying, because of that sell pressure and the relatively low market cap at that time, relative to where it is now, where there was still an opportunity to hit a 30x compared to the average based on anything that is correlated to Bitcoin, 10x of everything else. It's done about triple the performance of everything else then. That's
Yeah,
cool.
oh yeah. So I've actually got the Bitcoin numbers, the ETH numbers, the Monero numbers, and the XHV numbers by comparison. I made
Yeah.
a chart, actually.
Right. Pour one out for Haven, right? If anybody from Haven is watching, seriously, like, sorry guys, I know they're not gone yet.
Totally. I want to talk about that. Let's talk about that right after we finish this.
Sure. Yeah.
So Big Payday was the event where all of the unclaimed HEX from the Bitcoin holders that would have been given for free was distributed to the stakers. That happened on November 19th of 2020. If you had bought $1,000 worth of HEX on that day, today you would have $35,318.56.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And then the last day is right before Ben BitBoy came on my stream. You and I had kind of like almost a spat in the influencers group, and I called you tribal.
Yeah, that it kind of felt like it came out of left field to me, frankly, because I try to keep an open mind where I can. I still have some misgivings, frankly, about the overall governance. The overall governance of various projects that are turning towards either DPoS or turning to some kind of POS or using some kind of a staking system and talking about validation without talking about seeding nodes, full nodes, because there are some technical considerations that from a miner's perspective, because we look at the whole infrastructure as a business, just kind of like become a bit of a sticking point. It's I won't say that for me. I'm like, oh no, Hex is terrible, and I would never entertain Hex as a coin or as a system. But what I will say, smart contracts being what they are, they can be translated, and they can be translated to use any substrate, and they can be translated to use any coin. So the fact that a new token was created for it, I mean, I get it. That's part of the pumpamentals because you have to.
Seth is a genius. Yes.
Yeah, Oh, you guys are too kind. That's yeah. No, I prefer basement savant. I can't tie my shoes, but I can tell you a little more about mining. Give me a couple minutes here. Yeah. I mean, just as far as like the infrastructure though, it becomes kind of a sticking point for a lot of people who are involved in GPU mining and in various other kinds of mining. It also does build a lot of bias. Totally aware of that, right? Like when your paycheck depends on you not understanding a thing, you're just not going to understand it. And that holds true for almost anybody, right? Like your livelihood. You see a lot of that kind of very fallacious thinking in investing, especially in the crypto space, right? See people who are totally married to Dash still, inexplicably, right? And it's like, you still got a Dash masternode. Who has a Dash masternode in 2021? You know who does? Amanda B. Johnson.
Venezuela does.
Yeah, right. Like these people have Dash masternodes, and they're never going to get rid of them, because they have the incentive. So it can be really difficult, I know, to build those bridges in those areas. With miners, especially with GPU miners, because you have people that are already working with Ethereum, it can be hard sometimes even to get them to just log into Uniswap and make changes. Do you know how many GPU miners I knew who didn't get the airdrop? Like I was shocked that they'd never even tried Uniswap.
Never used. Oh yeah.
They've got all this ETH. I mean, some of them have like these really heavy bags of ETH, and they're like, "No, I'm going to wait till I can stake, right? Like I need 32 ETH. I'm just racing towards it." Like, dude, you already missed DeFi Summer 1.0. You're going to miss it again. Like, there's a lot of digging in at the heels. So when it comes to specifically like the network topology of not just validators, right? People who stake, which can create a form of centralization, but also the full nodes, right? And beyond just having a couple of seed nodes, it's another form of centralization. I don't run a full Ethereum node. There's a very good reason for not running it at home, but I don't want them run on AWS either. Yet here we are with Infura doing just that for Ethereum. So
if you had bought $1,000 worth of HEX on this last day, that was May 19th of this year. Today it would be worth $2,600.58.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Miriam, get your husband to look more closely at this product.
Yeah, no, my wife is absolutely a profit maximalist, and
Yeah, she is.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what can I say? I mean, here's the thing. Oh my gosh, guys, my beard is not even that long. It's like trimmed down to like a 1/4 inch. What is wrong with you? So like, yeah, but again, got genetic lottery. I got some lucky numbers, so it's growing in full, thick. But
so let's do a thing. I'm gonna share my screen, and then I'm going to pull up this. I'm gonna pull up the chart that I made for you. Can you see it?
I cannot.
You can't? Okay. Dang. Well, because it's got HEX, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Monero, and XHV.
Oh, yeah. I think on StreamYard you have to have a different screen setup.
Oh,
so I think from your side, yeah, you might have a different screen setup that'll let you share your screen instead of the camera.
Oh, okay. I think I got it. There we go. Okay. So, how can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So that's what it looks like.
Okay. So I'm trying to follow these trend lines here. Yeah. All right.
So
Cool.
I made that for you. Just to be
Awesome.
Kind of rub it in a little bit. I don't know, because I'm being a jerk. I'm like, yeah. So now let's talk about XHV, because I had no idea that anything had happened until you retweeted and asked if I thought that, like if I had changed. I was like, well, why would I have changed my mind about XHV? I always thought that it was cool. And then I looked and I was like, so one, I had no idea that it had gone over $28, right? So
yeah, so I want to say that given that same metric that you gave me, had you put in $1,000 from the time that we had our chat, that you at its peak, if you'd been able to time the market and sell at all-time high, you could have taken profits of about very similar. Not quite the same. Very similar to what HEX did in that time frame.
So actually there is a point on the chart. I was like playing with it earlier today. There is a point on the chart where XHV outpaced HEX, but that's, not counting stakes and everything. Anyway, so I had no idea that it had even gone that high, because the last time that I bought XHV, it was 48 cents.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, you would have done like a 40x on your money.
Yeah.
You would have totally slayed. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I had no clue. And then, so I looked into, I was like, what is it? Why would I have changed my mind? Like, because the reason that I bought that wasn't really because I looked into the tech and thought that it was amazing. It was actually because, I don't know if you remember this, but I found a product market fit for it before I found the product. I was looking for a stable coin that could be used anonymously for dark web markets.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that few retailers on dark web markets were accepting Monero. And I wanted to know why. So I went in the message boards and asked them why. And they said that because they hold the funds in escrow for like 2 weeks or whatever the lock is, that the fluctuance of like Bitcoin was enough for them. They didn't feel like they wanted to take that extra risk on Monero. So I started thinking that there needed to be a stable coin equivalent, like a stable coin equivalent. And then it was specifically that I didn't even want the stable coin equivalent to be pegged to the dollar. I wanted it to be pegged to like gold, and then found XHV. Yeah. So I bought it because I thought that there was a function for it,
Yeah.
So after you said that today, I looked into it. And so in June, it looks like hackers identified and exploited vulnerabilities in the contracts.
They did. And if you remember when we had Pierre on the show, and we chatted with Pierre.
Yep, Pierre Lafitte.
He's good dude who really doing his best to help promote it. I mean, he was promoting it when it was 48 cents. He promoted it to really drive that price and that sort of market discovery of what it does all throughout that time, that really big parabolic rise before this exploit was found. Good dude. But before he had done that, when they first turned on that functionality, and when he came on the show, we talked about it a little bit, there had been a hidden exploit at that time that allowed somebody to do their little internal pegging system. Yep. So for your audience's benefit, anybody that doesn't know what that coin does, imagine if Monero, we'll just keep it really simple. Imagine if within Monero, you could just stay within the Monero wallet client and say, I just want to peg to like USDC, but I want it to be built on the same style of privacy tech that Monero is. That's basically what Haven does. And they have their own representation of it. And like Nicole said, their own representation of gold as well, right? Where you could just, within the wallet client, just say like, all right, I'm done speculating, flip a switch and totally privately peg to this other standard, this other asset class over here, or this other currency. And it did that. Well, when they were first launching that functionality, somebody said, there's an arbitrage opportunity right here within the wallet, right? Like they have to create an algorithmic stablecoin, which is very hard to do. Anybody who's done it is like basically failed. Like who's ever tried.
Titan, remind anybody, Titan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty business, right? When they fail too. So they were like, all right, so how do we deal with an algorithmic stablecoin? That's one challenge. Now, how do we build this functionality into the wallet client so you can just do this? And it'd be just as tricky as like some of the like very, very deep mechanics that apparently HEX has built into the smart contract as well. But you've got this system in flight where people can redeem and burn and do all this stuff, and it can cause problems, right? And they found that somebody, when they first launched that, they gamed the system, and overnight they got $50,000 worth of value out of this system by arbitraging back and forth. And they basically like totally pillaged this new coin. Price went down. They totally got like slapped in the face, right? They're like, hey, we launched a feature, and somebody immediately uses it to wreck the coin. And essentially what you're reading right now, it's almost the exact same exploit that happened again now that the price was over $20. So it was like even more devastating.
Yeah. Okay. So there was no audit of the project, I guess, right? I mean, so when I started looking into this today, I read their paper that they put out about what the problems were and what steps they were taking to correct it, what they learned from the exploits. And one thing is like the GitHub code wasn't even public. Like they didn't even have a public GitHub repository. So couldn't even, so like nobody could have possibly contributed and said, hey, here's this exploit we found so that you don't have to live through. Like, that's kind of weird, right? I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you figure it's not the only project that does stuff like that. Ledger, for example, if you like using a Ledger wallet to be able to secure any of your EVM compatible coins, including HEX, when you start using it to authenticate for Pulse Chain, Ledger is closed source.
I thought you didn't know anything about Pulse Chain.
It's EVM compatible, right?
Okay. Yeah, but
I know a thing or two about EVM chains.
Okay, all right.
A little bit. Tiny bit.
Okay.
So if it's EVM compatible and you're using Ethereum addresses, then that's just how it's going to play out. You're going to use your Ledger, and you're going to want to use your Ledger instead of like some of your other third-party wallets, like this guy. I just did a review on this guy, and I'm not my favorite because you would have to wait for them to give you an update to support Pulse Chain instead of just like on MetaMask, just telling it like easily to support a new chain.
Yep.
But Ledger and MetaMask, the combo, you're going to want to use that. Their software is closed source. It's totally closed source. So even though, like most of us trust the Ledger Nano S and Nano X implicitly, right? We use it to transfer tons of value. And if you have long-term stakers in the audience who have a really high net worth in their HEX holdings and they have it on a Ledger, they're trusting all of the security of that to Ledger closed source. It's not available for you or I to audit. So, yeah.
All right.
That's something to be aware of. It's not the only project that does that. HEX too, right? And the core smart contract is not openly auditable.
It is.
Okay, give me a link to exactly where it is.
Okay, someone drop a link.
You won't be able to do it because Richard went live earlier today saying it's not public.
So isn't what Richard said, that it's not open source, meaning that people don't have permission to use it and do whatever they want with it, but not that the code is not open source. So this is actually a conversation. Yeah, the smart contract is entirely public. Someone dropped the link. This is actually a conversation that I had with Eric Wall like 4 days ago. So
got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually know that I'm right.
Got it. Okay. So the licensing for the smart contract, then they've chosen not to go
correct.
Open source them.
It's public, but it's not open source licensing.
Got it. Okay.
It was public. Yep.
So what license does it use?
That I don't know. Does anyone know? I know that, yeah, I don't know.
And in what jurisdiction is it enforceable? And where is that registered?
All right. These are all legal questions. I don't have the answers to.
I'm only asking because here's the thing, right? Like when you go outside of open source and when you go outside of like copyleft and totally free and GPL, which is like trash anyway, or MIT. Oh my gosh. Here's the thing. I'm seeing some comments in your live stream talking about like no license, but you can't copy. All right, find me a judge that'll enforce that. We'll see. Because I don't know. Hey, I've got a great idea. I'll disclaim my way out of this. This is not advice. Oh, how do you like that?
Not giving financial advice. Yeah. Do your own research. Okay. So the XHV exploit, like I said, it was like seemed really similar when I was looking at it to the Titan bank run, which I'm super familiar with because I work for the marketing agency that gave Titan a ton of rewards on QuickSwap. So, yeah, you remember the Titan bank run. In fact, like Mark Cuban had backed Titan.
Sorry, I was just saying thanks to Franklin.
Oh, okay, no worries. There you go.
Got this really, really loud mechanical keyboard. Sorry.
Cool. But so I was curious about if there's any suspicion or like accusations within the community that the development team themselves is behind the exploits, and because they're anonymous.
Ooh, that's juicy. I mean, we've seen stranger things in cryptocurrency, right? Like we've totally seen stranger things in cryptocurrency. Like we covered, well, I'm not going to drag it out, but we covered Bytecoin, and there's some allegations that Bytecoin, right, pre-mined a massive amount of their coin supply, and insta-mining and pre-mining used to be all the rage with coin forks back in the day, considered kind of not very moral, but not illegal. So yeah, to have a false flag say like, oh, we were hacked, but you're the perpetrator, I could see it. Sure.
But so there were tons of accusations from within the community that was the case with the Titan Iron situation, and that's the same kind of thing like algorithmic stablecoin. So I was just curious if that existed within Haven. You're much more deeply ingrained in the community than I am.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not really like an active community member, so it's always possible. And just disclaimer, as of today, I don't hold any Haven, and I could even give you a wallet address and defy you to go audit the contents. You can't. So, you can't prove that
I still do, because I had no idea that there was ever an issue. I just put it in a wallet and kind of forgot about it until you brought it up today.
Yeah. The thing about those, that style of coin though, like even with the wallet address, you can't a third party, unless you give them a view key, they can't validate whether or not you hold anything. It's not a public distributed ledger. So, yeah. Anyway, like. Yeah, I don't, but I'm like, just, I guess take my word for it. I don't hold Haven. I'm not like close with the team. I don't even give them input anymore. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's always possible, right? Like it happened with Bytecoin, happened with Caliber Cash, another fork of Monero back in the day. Several like last bull run or tapering off the bull run with GPU mining when it was highly profitable to mine crypto coins like Monero. There were several little exit scams like that and exchange listing scams. So, I don't know. Truth is stranger than fiction. You wouldn't shock me if you found evidence that happened. I'd be like, oh, yeah, they got us again.
All right. So when necklace, here's the deal, guys. If the likes get to double the dislikes, then I'll put on the necklace. And someone's going to have to tell me, too, because I can't see likes versus dislikes. So
you're already 10x.
Dislike. Like. Dislike.
Oh, guys.
All right. Let's see. So in the news today, I mean, like, so most of the people in the audience don't really care about anything in the crypto news. So it's like, you know, there's like some stuff about stablecoin regulations. That's like, yeah, they've been talking about that forever. And then there was a Cointelegraph article about Fox being the largest airdrop in history upcoming. Did you see that?
I did, and that's you know, working as a professional marketer, that's total spin. And this is Eric Voorhees trying to get some fanfare for his grand return to actual decentralization again. So on the one hand, yeah, it's total BS, right? It's totally bogus. This whole like it's the largest airdrop. No, it isn't. We all know it.
Well, okay, so I mean, it's just funny that like that's the terminology that they're choosing to use, and that like I mean, because how is it even possible? And because you know, the crypto publications are completely ignoring that Pulse is even happening, that Pulse and HEX even exist, more or less at this point.
Yeah. You know, that's a tough one.
I mean, it's a fork of the entire state of Ethereum. So every ERC20 and ERC771 is getting airdropped. And yet Cointelegraph is publishing an article about Fox being the largest airdrop in history. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think to your point, I think what's difficult about that is that you're going to find that there's immediate liquidity and there's going to be an immediately assigned market value to Fox. And, you know, you can like it, dislike it, whatever, be indifferent, but as I largely am towards Fox, it's like, I'm not going to be a holder of Fox. I don't think. I don't know how I would qualify.
Did you use Shapeshift before June 9th?
Not on any of my current wallets. I stopped. No, not at all. With my current active wallets, I have not used Shapeshift at all because they bent the knee towards the KYC requirements. So I was like, yeah, now I'm out. So yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not a stakeholder in Fox, but like, yeah, as far as them saying that, whatever, right? Like whatever, they can say whatever they want. How are they quantifying it? Is it number of wallets? Is it going to be the total value? Is it because there's been so many transactions and they have some kind of transaction history from the ledger?
They hired a good publicist.
Yes, probably that last one. Yeah, I'd agree. That's probably the last one, which is why I'm like, okay, whatever. I think the real news there for me is that Shapeshift is finally getting back to decentralization. So both on top of DEXs like Uniswap and aggregators, I think by 0x for anything that's EVM compatible. And then for anything that isn't EVM compatible, they're totally hitching their wagon to the Thor chain star, right? So that's kind of exciting to me, right? Like we need those influences to be able to get people from one side of crypto all the way over to the other if they want to migrate their funds without permission. So that's what I'm taking away from it. I'm like, okay, the airdrop is like, it's inconsequential because it is all marketing spin, but the actual what they're doing, they didn't really need a token for that, in my opinion. I guess they're the whole like we're gonna do a DAO.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah. It's a little weird. All right. So I have 3 things left that I want to talk about. How about I throw them to you? Want to say thanks to Seth for coming on. This is a great stream. It's a win-win. Yeah. Thank you, Seth, for coming on. Thanks, Bress. Yes.
Well, thank you for the warm reception.
So, okay, I'm going to throw you the 3 topics, and you tell me what order you want to talk about them in.
Okay.
I want to talk about your Safer Moon review.
Oh, no. Instant regret.
About Richard on CryptoBanter today. Did you catch that? I sent you the link earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I was able to watch the whole thing.
Okay. And then I want to talk about the sacrifice for Pulse.
Okay, let's start with the sacrifice first. Okay. Let's talk about Richard on the CryptoBanter show, and then let's end on that Safe Moon project. We'll end on a humorous note, so everybody remembers how incredibly corny this interview was.
All right, so we're talking about sacrifice. So obviously Seth is here because I'm going to sacrifice.
Yeah, guys, look, be on the alert for that safe word. Okay, I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
I don't remember what it is anymore.
Yeah, right. Hold on. Do we have to bring out one of these? Wait, I'm so proud of this. When I was like a teenager, it was the coolest thing. I thought it was the coolest thing that I was really good with a butterfly knife. So I'm ready. I'm ready for my sacrifice. Right? We're gonna that's the other way around. Right? So you say that. Am I supposed to? How am I? Do I do this right? Will you get demonetized? Sorry.
Oh yeah. You can't have weapons on a live stream.
Well, this is actually one of those combs. It doesn't have a real blade. So
Right. Of course.
that's what it is.
Yep.
We use the TV remote. All right. Okay. So this is how we do it, though. Do I have to like hang a noose from the ceiling? Like.
No, I mean, I basically already sacrificed you when I told you about your missing gains earlier. So, so let's talk about it. You do know something about it.
A little something, but I am a little bit confused as to how it works. Okay. Straight up, I would like to learn more.
Okay. So the way that it works is supposed to be starting today. Like I said, it could be any time. My mom wants me to light the candles on the candelabra behind me.
Okay, I thought that was somebody totally messing with you in the comments and like making a sock puppet. That's actually your mom?
Yep, that's actually my mom. Yep. She watches my streams. So, all right. So the way that it works is that once the sacrifice is live, there's, an address where you can send your coins, which are a political statement against high gas fees on blockchains. So like against censorship on blockchains, I think is the exact phrasing. And the reason for it being deemed a sacrifice is actually like significant and having to do with the project being classified as a security, because if you're expecting an airdrop in return for the coins, then you're participating in a security. And so like the actual terminology is really important. There's a great stream about it from someone called Funding Jim. And about why the term sacrifice is necessary. Could it have been something else? Yes. Is there some like play on drama there? Yes. I mean, of course, right? But
yeah.
So the way that it works is when you sacrifice your coins, you give them up and you don't expect anything in return. And at some future date during the launch of Pulse, you may or may not be airdropped a token worth the dollar value of what you sacrificed on the date of your sacrifice.
Ooh. Okay.
And then the tokens that you will be airdropped will have zero value when they're airdropped to you. And that has to do with tax liability, because apparently receiving an airdrop, I know.
Oh, I mean, hey, this is cryptocurrency. We got to keep an open mind, because seriously, like, there are so many things that we've done over the last 5 years that, depending on who you asked and when you asked them and whether or not they had a sandwich that day, they could have just told you, like, yeah, you're going to jail. Like right now, immediately, straight to jail. And you ask them the next day and they're like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Go on. Tell me more. Right? Like, you don't know.
But so that's how the sacrifice works, I think.
Okay. That makes a little more sense to me. So it is, but it is multi-chain. I did see Fluffy Pony and the Monero team tagged for one with Monero. That one had a lot of upvotes, a lot of likes on Twitter. One, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was it XRP? I think that the XRP army is being propositioned to get rid of their precious XRP tokens.
Yeah.
And I think a few others as well. Somebody had a list, but
it's
kind of narrowed down, right?
Yeah, there's a list. So
I can't just find like some esoteric coin that I picked up like at an airdrop at some event that I went to where people were like, we made a token for this event or an NFT for this event. Like, can't just throw anything at the sacrifice.
No. So there is a list of specific tokens for sacrifice, but then because it's a fork of the state of Ethereum, once the chain launches, you'll get a duplicate of any ERC20 or ERC771 tokens that you hold in self-custody. Even though the price will be in price discovery. I have no idea what those will be worth.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So I guess the question that I have about not the sacrifice, but Pulse Chain moving forward after the date of launch and the sacrifice and all that, and having all tokens mirrored anyway. So if you had any tokens already at all, you're going to have like some kind of like the idea is that there's going to be not consideration, because I don't think legally that's what's being offered here, but there'll be some representation of your tokens on Pulse Chain.
Yep.
I guess there's got to be a lot of people who are asking about bridging, right? Like bridging back and forth, and what like how that'll correspond to active smart contracts on Ethereum right now.
Yep. So P token will be the equivalent of E token, but they won't be like it won't interrupt the supply. So if you were to have, you know, I don't know, 100 link on Pulse, and you got a duplicate copy of 100 Chainlink on Pulse Chain, your P link won't interrupt the supply of, you know, of link. So even though it can have dollar value, you may be able to bridge it back over to Ethereum to trade it. It will exist as its own entity, and then E tokens will be able to be traded on Pulse Chain as well as their existing token as E token.
Got it. Okay. So you realize that I accepted your offer to come on your show just to make one written joke, and it's in the comments right now. So I would really appreciate it if someone in your comment section would tell me what the name of my new token is. Write it out and then say it out loud.
Nis? I don't get it.
Oh, guys, F in the chat. So
I don't get it. Can you explain it?
I don't think I can, but I think that on Ethereum it would be E-NIS.
Oh. Okay, because it would be P. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah.
Oh, what? Owned. Yeah, now who is sacrificed, nerd girl? What?
All right. So actually,
that's the thing, guys. You never saw penis coming. Fade away. All right.
So you should do it then. You should do it.
It might be too late. It might not get forked. Please don't fork the penis. It's not time. Or NIS token. Let's be real. Forked in its infancy, it won't achieve its maximum potential. Maybe I just shouldn't do it.
So guys, just so anybody who's watching this knows, Seth is actually the architect of the token that I'm known for creating, which is HUGS.
That was fun.
That was fun. I learned how to create a, what's the right word for that? What is it? What kind of token is it now? I can't remember. God. What you know what I'm talking about? What kind of token it is? Built on Bitcoin Cash.
Oh yes. You know what's funny is that I haven't handled them in a little while. It is.
I haven't either. I'm like.
Yeah, the token layer is something else. It's really performant. It's kind of sad, right, to see a lot of that stuff kind of really be ignored this run.
Yeah, but I know it is. It's like, and yeah, completely. Oh, SLP.
Yeah, simple ledger protocol.
Simple ledger protocol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Seth actually created the HUGS token and is now the largest holder of HUGS, because I have less HUGS than, unless you gave a lot of them away.
Oh no! See, I like giving hugs. I'm a big hugger, so I like giving hugs in bulk. You, how about this? You indicate a wallet that needs more hugs, and I will clear them out. We'll do a HUGS clearance.
I always kind of thought that you were being a HUGS hodler.
Yeah, a little bit, but I like bulk transactions for HUGS, guys. Just group hug, big one transaction. We'll send them all. Somebody who needs them and can distribute them more frequently. Plus, you could fund some kind of a tip bot with it. So
yeah, you know what? We had everything in CC tip bot, and then something happened to see. Like, I was always kind of skeptical of it because of the lottery mechanism where it redistributed tokens fairly regularly. And I said it in the stream that I made about how to create your SLP token and get your SLP into CC Tipbot that I was like, I don't know if I would really trust this with anything that I was expecting to have value, but hugs are not $1, they're not about money. So, and then like I had millions of hugs in my CC Tipbot, and then something happened and all my hugs were gone. But I still have many, but yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, getting some questions in your comment section about SciVive. If I may, like to respond to that just briefly. BitFinesse, I did read SciVive, the earliest draft of it, and I found it very difficult to get through because it was an early and rough draft. And I talked to Richard about that when the first time that Nicole and I talked to him on the
Discord Syndicate.
Thank you, Discord. I almost call it Discord Syndicate. I'm like, that's not right. I have too many services that I have rattling around in my brain. But the first time we went on there, I asked him about it, and he admitted it's not quite there yet. It's not a final draft yet.
Yeah, he said that. He said because it's free to read right now still, and he said that probably once it's fully edited and made into a narrative, that it won't be free anymore.
Ooh, how about this? When we get to that point, if I can proofread it, I will happily do the audiobook. Okay, and we'll do a hexagon crowd raise for the audiobook because like Richard, nobody works for free. If you're good at something, right, you don't do it for free. So happy to be the voice of that book if it comes to that.
All right. More questions about Pulse? Do you think you'll get in? Like, do you have any interest at all in just given the performance of HEX, do you feel like, getting into the sacrifice as like some, or even once the chain launches, do you think that that's something that you're going to consider FOMOing into?
That's tough. As far as there being a sacrifice right now, there's nothing that I'm really comfortable letting go of. I've pruned most of the bags that I have as far as coins that I'm not happy with. Mm-hmm. There may be one or two that I'd be happy to convert. So I don't know. Maybe they go that route. Because I mean, like the next guy who doesn't like good airdrop, who doesn't like a good early airdrop, right?
Yeah.
So again, like today on CryptoBanter, if you're speculating and you're starting with a smaller capital allocation, the fastest way to grow it is not even to do stuff that's already performant. You want to work on early launches, and those aren't my words; those are Richard's. So either private sales or early launches make sense. Yeah, mm-hmm. Pulse, that does make sense to me. Maybe a sacrifice to get some Pulse and then work into some HEX. Maybe. Right now, though, I haven't identified any bags that I'm desperately like, I've really got to cull the portfolio and get rid of this or convert that. And the ones that I do need to do that with, it's like they're either illiquid or I'm like, wrecked. It's dropped so far. I don't even want to like deal with it.
No, for sure. So last night I was like getting stuff ready, and yeah, there was stuff that I was like, like just even though I'm not upside down in it, like in dollar terms, like if I should have sold it, and it's like it's really hard to let go of a lot of those things, but I managed to do it. And it's funny, I thought about opening my Haven wallet and just like seeing where I was at with it, but I didn't because I was like, I want to hold on.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll rebuild. But here's the thing: based on your entry point for Haven, I mean, you got a solid like 6 or 7x, right?
Well, so my entry point's like the 47 cents, and I believe it's like 350 right now.
That sounds right. Yeah, last time I checked, anyway.
Yeah, I should probably get out.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll have to look for something like that right now, where I was maybe not previously motivated to just get things moving, and maybe that'll motivate me to just clean house a little bit with the old bags. Yeah.
Well, think about it. So for the first 3 days of sacrifice, sacrifice phase is 17 days. Actually, we're going to be streaming for 17 days nonstop here on Discord Syndicate, starting when the sacrifice begins. It's going to be a hoot. 17-day long stream. So I don't know if you remember, but when the big payday happened, they kind of did like a 24-hour live stream.
I missed it.
Okay, yeah. So there was a 24-hour live stream when the like big, event, big payday occurred, and now they want to do a 17-day live stream. So the first 3 days, the incentives for sacrificing are all the same and like equal, and then after that, there's a graduated scale where the incentive decreases.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Jeez. Yeah, that is that's aggressive.
Fundamentals.
Yeah, right. Sure. You got it. That's practically the only thing that seems to matter in this market cycle right now. And man, so like, and I apologize because you asked for about like three specific things, and that we were gonna like close the show out with, and I'm just gonna like as a side, right? The thing that I keep thinking about is not fiat on ramps and off ramps, but I just keep thinking about like specifically being able to use like realized gains in the larger crypto sphere. And this is me just like totally being coin agnostic and project agnostic, guys. Like just pretend like right now that at the entry points that Nicole said that I had literally dumped $1 million into HEX, and I'm like super happy, right, with my position in HEX. I'm like, that's not an issue. Let's just pretend like that happened. Pretend. It didn't, but let's pretend. we can. Put on your imagination cap. And like the end game, like figuring out, getting out of these positions and deciding what you want to do with it. Because my grandma, she lived on a farm, a ranch out here in the Intermountain West, and she was big into CDs back when they were a thing, in their time, for cash, for fiat. But there was a point at which she wanted to retire, and her husband had died, and they sold the ranch and everything, and she's trying to figure out what you do towards like for that investment strategy and that like kind of retirement strategy. Like, how do you get certain things to work for you at that time? And I'm like wondering out loud, how do we see all of the whole landscape accommodating these new habits that we have of being able to authenticate by signing, right, with a private key on an EVM compatible chain or something else? And just trying to figure out like, how do we actually make it practical for everyday use, and without having to do the gift card loophole, or feeling like we're making really weird accommodations and like big compromises to the way that we live. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, irrespective of price action.
The end game with HEX was not just to be a CD that was, existing independently from fiat currency or Bitcoin or whatever else, but to actually replace the economy. So like the same way that a CD works right now with dollars, that HEX would eventually function as a method of payment and, fully replacement of fiat currency. Of course, that's not going to work because it's built on Ethereum and gas fees are high. And
yeah, you could literally 10x the transactional throughput of Ethereum and it wouldn't be enough. And you could literally cut down to 1/10 the gas fees or just the transaction validation fees of Ethereum, and it still wouldn't be enough to scale up for the proper M2 transactional replacements of all fiat monies throughout the world, right? Like there's always the scaling problem.
But let's see what happens with Pulse. Let's see if Pulse Chain has some of the scaling. Obviously some of the scalability issues are going to be resolved, but let's see, how bad the issues still are when we get there. But so as far as what people are doing, I think different people have different strategies. So some people have taken profits and sold their principal, or sold part of their principal in addition to their interest. Some people never staked. All they did was have principal and they've sold that. Some people are just holding liquid HEX and that's it. Some people, like me, are holding both, because I think that the real advantage of having an asset that fluctuates in value and accumulates more of itself is that you can accumulate more of it that you can realize in the future while you hold some that you can take advantage of rapid price swings in the present.
You're educating a few too many of your viewers, getting some people upset. You're never supposed to sell. Ever.
Yeah, no, well, no, here's the thing. People sell. Someone, people have bought Lambos and houses and, I mean, like, it's the Bitcoiner crowd that's like, the Bitcoin maxis who are like, never, so why would you sell into an inferior currency? Well, bro, because I can't buy a house with Bitcoin. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't eat a Bitcoin, you can eat a steak.
Yeah.
That's,
But
right, you can't eat a HEX either. So
yeah, but so a HEX steak, maybe. No, the idea is that with large stakes of HEX, so there's this thing called the T share, it's a trillion share, and your proportion of T shares is what make it so that you what causes your ability to generate more interest. So it's your ability to print money is your number of T shares. And eventually those won't be T shares, they'll be B shares, and then there'll be M shares.
Okay.
Billion, million.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people's plan is to never sell the principal, but to continue to pull off the interest at the end of every stake and live off of that. And the people who got in early are already making, 10 times what they were making at their jobs in a year, in a month, just on their interest.
Wow.
It's yeah.
It sounds like it's been life-changing for a few people. I get it. I get the mania for sure. I mean, once you have that kind of an experience, it's very difficult to go back.
Yeah. So the idea is the creation of generational wealth that can continue to be passed on.
Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I definitely see it, and there hasn't been a major exploit yet. So, no, I'm again going back to your initial question. It's still a yes and a no for me. There are some things that are still, some aspects of it that are still kind of. And guys, you can give me the thumbs down in the comment section, right? Because you're used to this, or you can try to help educate me, and you can be patient here. But I'm always gonna have a little bit of lingering doubt and skepticism because, as you know, Nerd Girl, I have lingering doubt and skepticism about a lot of things.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I think that lingering doubt and skepticism is important, and I have it too. Like, sometimes they get mad. I was on a stream like 2 nights ago where I was discussing the possibility that HEX could be a gateway into a cult, and basically huge portion of and with my background in religious studies, I was really discussing it as a sociologist, not being judgmental, using that term in a sociological meaning. And because I'm always doing that, I mean, they said that I'm not a real Hexican, and I got into a fight with the community. So you're allowed to be skeptical with me.
Yeah, guys, let me drop one of Richard's favorite websites. It's called Your Logical Fallacy Is. Yeah, Your Logical Fallacy Is. And in that case, you're using the No True Scott. That's the No True Scott logical fallacy, or the No True Scott argument. And it means that you're taking your own bias and you're projecting it by saying, well, I am a true fill in the blank, true Hexican. You're not a true Hexican because a true Hexican would never do. And that's where you draw the battle lines. Anyway, I'm going to have some doubts as well. I would be consistently on the other side of that line, I'm sure, for a lot of people's comfort. But one of those things for me that's a bit of a lingering doubt, where it's like a yes and no. Clearly, people are making money, and I'm very happy for them. Mm-hmm. I've gone on a rant on my channel about Chia right now.
I saw.
It's Bram Cohen's new baby. This is the guy that brought us BitTorrent, not the company. The protocol, right? Mm-hmm. Changed everything about what we do on the internet. I mean, I'm strongly convinced that the fact that we're even doing live video conferencing right now with all these text add-ins and stuff wouldn't have even been possible without Bram's earlier work on BitTorrent. But now he's trying to launch this crypto project, and the first thing I do is come in and find some problems and speak really publicly about it, and get a lot of hate for it because people are like, oh no, it's up only, right? No, we could never fail, right? You can't fail at crypto. Just make a new one, and it's always going to work. So I'm happy for people who are winning. So long story short, and any of these new projects, and especially if you got in early, if you're winning, really More power to you. I'm extremely excited for you. And I'm not going to be like Jackson Palmer a couple of years from now being like all salty, like, yeah, I hate all these projects where you guys made money and I didn't. Yeah, no, it's not me. Could never be that guy. But I do have some concerns still as far as centralization, proof of stake, the amount of coins owned by certain wallets, and not even just by specific wallet addresses, but by entities that you cannot identify as owning certain wallets. And it's not that I'm saying that I believe in blockchain-based ID or that I think people need to be doxxed, because that is totally antithetical to all of cryptocurrency, and that's just not me either. But what I am saying is that when you are the face of a project and when you have governance for a project and you say, we are making these changes and we're migrating to this chain and we're going to do this thing, it's like the Bitcoin is permissionless trope, right? And the Bitcoin is permissionless rhetoric, where it's like that's objectively false because somebody approves your pull requests on GitHub. Somebody controls
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
The difference is like HEX is a complete smart contract. So nobody's saying we're going to migrate. HEX will continue to exist on Ethereum. It cannot be changed. There are no admin keys. There is no way for HEX to go and exist somewhere else. It's being duplicated as PHEX on Pulse Chain. But HEX as eHEX will continue to exist. There's no changing that.
Okay, great. I guess maybe where I'm going with it is there seems to be a really big push for Pulse to be like the way. Why not use something that's already far more performant than Ethereum with lower fees, that's already in production and proven to work without duplicating everything and causing massive tokenomic distress like Polygon?
So Polygon actually has admin keys, and that's part of the, that's like the real big discussion with Pulse, because Polygon, when you cross the bridge into Polygon, you give up your admin keys to a 5 out of 8 multisig, and the signatories on the multisig are unknown. And Binance funded Maddox or Polygon's IEO or whatever. So
Okay,
so actually, when you cross the bridge and exist on Polygon, you don't actually hold your keys. You do not own your coins.
Okay. So in kind of a similar way to a poorly crafted smart contract, like say, or an intentionally quasi-custodial smart contract, like say Tether on Ethereum, where your wallet can be shut down or your funds can be burned from your wallet right where they stand. Okay. So I get that. I guess
so specifically with Polygon, that's like, actually I know that because I work for LDA and LDA represents Polygon.
Conflict of interest, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, it's just eyes wide open. You got to go. You know what you're getting into, right? With any kind of a project, I get that. So that's what I'm asking is things like that, where you have like the Cosmos and Tendermint sort of like backbone to the system, which, unless I'm mistaken, that's what Pulse uses, right? It's actually Cosmos and Tendermint, and then it has EVM compatibility, but it's closer in architecture to Cosmos and Tendermint than it is to just a straight ahead fork or clone of Ethereum, and that's how you inherit the majority of the proof of stake underpinnings. I mean, I'm not an expert.
Really good question. Actually, that sounds, but I'm not a developer, and
I'm not either.
But actually, that sounds correct, and I've heard Richard speak really positively about Tendermint. So, it sounds like that could be correct.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it or whatever. That's just what I thought I read in passing, and so that's why I don't want to like form a solid opinion on it without having done additional, like, gotten it confirmed. So that's what I'm wondering then is, like, is there not a second layer or a scaling solution that is currently compatible with EVM compatible right now that would help achieve the objective of having lower fees so that people don't get wrecked on trying to unstake certain things or, take profits or use mixers.
Just transact.
Right. Because it seems like for the ecosystem also, I think that I've read or heard somewhere that there is a HEX native fork of Tornado Cash. So there is an emphasis on privacy. It's maybe not the sole emphasis, but there's an emphasis on privacy. But the problem with Tornado Cash is that if you're in Ethereum, you've got these massive fees, right? Because the number of transactions that you're running through that smart contract. So that's kind of what I'm wondering is there something that already is EVM compatible and scales that could just already have it built and be a part of another thriving ecosystem where it's not damaging to the tokenomic value of other EVM coins?
Well, but I don't think that Pulse is damaging to the tokenomic value of existing. I mean, except for causing more competition in the market.
Okay, maybe.
Because it's not like because your P tokens exist that disrupts the supply of your E tokens. They don't. They'll exist as P tokens. And if someone provides liquidity for them on Ethereum or another compatible chain, they'll exist as their own entity.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only asking because I'm curious. That's still kind of a question mark for me.
Sure.
And further still, as far as there being the question of governance and having it be proof of stake that on this new chain, I guess there's also the question of like, how does that work out in practical terms for people who are most heavily incentivized to migrate to this new chain, which to begin with is going to be, I think, primarily HEX users.
Oh, yeah.
So, right, like very heavily marketed to HEX users first and foremost, right? Like you are first-class citizens on Pulse Chain. No questions asked, for sure.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I'm wondering as well is like, to what extent is there going to be sort of a de facto transfer of power to the largest HEX wallets because it's proof of stake?
Well, so HEX holders don't get any special benefits that other Ethereum, I don't know, tokens get. Like you're still getting a duplicate 1-for-1 copy of your HEX.
Right. So it's going to be the PLS token that is primarily the governance token, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's kind of what I'm wondering. And again,
I don't really know a whole lot.
I
guess you're saying that because Hexicans will be the most likely to sacrifice for this, they'll be the people who are more in control of the chain.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So
because collateral, and because collateral automatically goes, as you know, I don't care where the ETH goes. I don't care. But what I do care about is who controls the chain, and where the ETH goes. If that's a place where somebody is willing to sacrifice in order to control a chain, then it does logically follow that they will control the chain.
Okay.
So I always got that concern. I'm a little paranoid.
But I mean, the same could be said of anything that was marketed to Bitcoiners early, that Bitcoiners were going to be the, arbiters of the chain, and that's a problem because Bitcoiners are assholes or, whatever.
Yeah, and they don't run mining equipment and they don't run full nodes. Not enough of them run full nodes and mining equipment to be able to actually vote on chain the way it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I get that. There are problems all around. So I guess that's kind of like, but that's where my mind goes, and looking for chains that are less contentious and that have broad goodwill among other participants. Now, I mean, that said, we saw Binance Smart Chain launch, and you had all these like whale traders who were like, yeah, I really don't care who controls it. Is there alpha over here? Can I make like a 7-figure weekend trading this swing? Like, all right, they don't care.
Yep.
So I get that too.
Yeah. No, that was really crazy with, and then that like everything on Binance, on BSC automatically has an upgradable contract, which is like,
Yeah, this has been crazy, right? So I think I like DeFi Summer 1.0 a little better in that way, because it wasn't like, we don't care about decentralization. We don't care about like all this other stuff that seemed to matter to the more kind of cypherpunk underpinnings of the cryptocurrency scene. And DeFi Summer 2.0, I'm kind of getting decision fatigue. Like KuCoin has its own DEX and AMM now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just kind of like, I'm a little bit exhausted, but
I get you.
Yeah, as far as there being people who will buy into Pulse, I think again it's an pardon the expression, guys, it's an old expression, but it is grammatically correct. I have a niggling doubt in the back of my mind.
Okay.
As far as their who it's marketed to and why and how that will directly correlate to people having controlling stake over a new network, which, as far as I can tell, right now, the performance as just as described in a couple of articles will be good, but it won't be like revolutionary. It won't be radically good to like an order of magnitude better. It'll be incrementally better.
All right. Well,
so I'm just kind of I'm wondering, like,
let's see how the price performance reflects your predictions.
I didn't say that had anything to do with price. And there's the concern.
Are people going to buy in to this marginally better new chain? So, I mean, we're going to find out.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think, I will go scrounging. I'll go looking under the couch cushions for something I can sacrifice, put it that way. I don't think that I'm going to part with any bags that are precious to me just because of, either coin age or purpose or, allocation. And but I'll look at something. Oh, this is funny. What's really funny is when people laugh at marginally better and don't understand how the scaling debate is happening on other chains right now, because it is only marginally better in terms of transactional throughput. But yeah, so like and this is not me crap talking anything, guys. These are just the realities of blockchain. They're just really hard. They're hard problems to fix. They're hard problems for everybody to fix. So yeah. But yeah, that's a bit of my concern there, is like scaling needs to happen across the board. Bitcoin is having this problem, right? But the prevailing narrative went to store of value, and so the small blockers won, which is fine or whatever. But now you need faster rails for blockers. Oh no, the large blockers lost.
Yeah, but they got BTC and the narrative that it's Bitcoin.
Yeah. So anyway, as far as it being like a very early project to get into speculatively, because it has so much gravity, like I agree. You'd be crazy not to take it seriously because it's brand new and has serious investment gravity. So
right, and with the way that HEX performed, there are a lot of people who feel like they missed the boat and they're getting a second chance.
I can see that. I guess the concern that I have is going to be like, what happens when we do a full chain or full state duplication, and then people say like, all right, cool. Where do my other tokens go? How do I bridge? What is it? What happens when I try to bridge here? This representation over on this chain, like, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for Tether, for example? Not that I really care about the Tether group. Like, seriously, don't care. But for them right now, with the legal troubles they're going through and the whole like, we've got paper, right? We're backed by these paper. What does it mean when they now have this like shadow inventory of additional, tens of billions of dollars printed on Pulse Chain? And that's just one project, right? That's contentious. So yeah, just curious to see how that rolls out. But yeah, I agree. Being the age that it's at, launching the way it is, it'd be crazy not to take it seriously.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, let's close with your thoughts on Richard on CryptoBanter today. And we'll just leave Safer Moon for another discussion, another day.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So he did well. Yeah, he did really, really well. I think what's difficult is that there's a volume of content that is produced by not just Richard, but the entire Hexagon community that not everybody else follows. So this is maybe just like Crypto Tribalism 101, like how to curb Crypto Tribalism 101. People don't read the same things. People don't watch the same media. People don't consume all the same media. So if you go into a conversation with other people within the crypto sphere, and you just presume that they've watched everything that you've watched, or they just presume that they want to watch a 5-hour live stream.
Bro, he asked where the ETH goes. Come on. Like, come on.
Yeah, he asked twice. No, I got that.
It's a thing. Like, I get asking, several questions that have been asked before, but where the ETH goes, you've got to be kidding me at this point.
Well, I think, again, so how to curb tribalism 101. Not everybody who is first talking to Richard or to anybody else in the HEX scene is going to know that that's a question that is considered taboo.
Well, yeah, they are, because obviously they got that question from someone. And here's the thing, when you go to the grocery store and you buy groceries, you don't then ask what the grocery store did with the money that you bought. You're like, where did my money go? Your money went to buying groceries.
That's true, but if I buy 50 shares of AMD stock, I do hold the leadership of AMD accountable. Advanced Micro Devices, what they do in public reflects my investment directly.
Okay.
So I do. That would be a
and do you
probably
think that
more
people
direct
don't
corollary.
hold Richard's public behavior, hit Richard accountable for his public behavior?
Well, like dodging that question, and it's kind of a weird thing, right? To have it be so self-referential, to say like, okay, it's a reasonable question and a logical question that most people are going to want to ask initially because of their experience with startups, tech, and crypto. It's a very 9 out of 10 other projects will answer that question straightforwardly. They'll just say it matter of factly. They'll just say, oh yeah, so we raised 60 million from a VC group and we did a pre-mine of X% of our coin supply, or when we minted a token, we held this amount for governance and for marketing, and this is our breakdown for when we do events. Oh, we also have an influencer budget because we're going to pay bounties to influencers to be able to spread the word about this brand new launch. And we also have this incentive that's, even if it is built into the smart contract, they're going to want to answer that question so that you know. Because you're curious, because you're going to give them what in any other context would legally be considered consideration. Money. Something that has monetary value. It's not an unreasonable question. But I hear you. He asked it twice.
I guess it's like, I've asked the question before too, sure. But I didn't ask it to Richard. I asked it to someone on Discord Syndicate. I had done some more research before before I talked to him. And yeah, and then there's also that there's no expectation of HEX having value because of it not being a security.
Sure, and I guess that from the outside looking in, when somebody does a bit of a two-step in order to preserve, this is called like piercing the corporate veil, when you try to make it seem as though like, well, our business model is not dealing in securities. We don't do securities, don't want to appear like we're going to fail the Howey test, because that would make us appear as though we're dealing in securities and as though this is a Ponzi. Sorry, Ponzu.
Mm-hmm.
I said it wrong. Singular, there you go, not plural. Ponzu. But you get what I'm saying.
There's quite a few people saying that you should talk to Richard and potentially some of the other developers, and I quite agree that would be really productive. And he unblocked you today.
Oh, that was so nice. I unblocked him too.
Unblock him too? Okay.
We're all unblocking each other. It's so nice.
Yay, unblocking. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, I don't pretend to be some kind of an expert, guys. I don't pretend to be like some developer or somebody who requires answers from anybody. Like, who am I to Richard Hart? Literally nobody. And on the world being what it is, the reverse is true too. Like, I've lived in a world so far where the answer to that question hasn't immediately affected me, but I understand why other people would naturally be curious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just another customer, right? Like, I interview people professionally, so it's just fun to have questions that I think are relevant.
I would like to see that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the vicious takedowns, the idea that somebody needs to be taken down viciously, or the idea that somehow there is not like a direct corollary between projects that offer some kind of a return on anything that you've contributed to it. There's not some kind of a corollary between that and professional activities. It's just kind of short-sighted. Like, there's government bodies being what they are, they tend to strike at anything that's visible. So it is literally just a question of time before there's that phone call that comes from whomever, and they just ask, like, or the subpoena.
Penis is now available on 1 inch. Sorry.
Are there legit questions? Are people FOMOing in? I'm gonna have to go write up a smart contract, aren't I? Got to make it happen.
No, that's a good joke though. You get it? Penis is now available on 1 inch. You get it?
Yeah, but I'm a shower, not a grower, Sandy. I don't understand those kinds of jokes. They go right over your head. Oh! That was it.
All right.
But I did
All
see the
right,
interview.
so
It was funny. It was funny that Rand went directly there because I know that is like the big taboo funny question that everybody in the tribe, sorry, I won't call it a cult, in the tribe says is taboo. Yeah, it's funny.
yeah, no, I mean, and Rand is an entertainer, and then also, but I was actually kind of surprised at the like level of negativity that he expressed during this stream, based on how positive, like the previous week when he did the panel that Richard was on, when it was, crypto banter with, Richard and Elliot, and Elliot and Alex Mashinsky. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
I missed that. And it's
Okay.
funny. Alex is another really prolific guy as far as founders goes, who's like
Yeah.
really public.
Yeah.
I couldn't take in all of Alex's media either if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I was surprised at the way that Rand handled it today. He probably got some pushback from the way that he handled things the week before. So I imagine that there's something that happened there, something that went on.
Could be. You can never tell. Well, I mean, you and I, we're both in a private group that that your viewers don't have access to on Telegram, right, with some other YouTube creators and stuff. And things are sometimes kind of weird. There are politics, right, in every kind of circle. So you can never tell what happened.
I don't think that Rand's in there though. If he is, then I'm not aware of that. He's not active.
Yeah, he might be lurking.
Yeah.
there are a few lurkers who are like, yeah, I don't need you guys. You're beneath me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There are people in there who have like zero interaction with anything.
Yeah, it's another business, right? So yeah, apologies to all the people who I offended in some way, shape, or form. I promise I'm far nicer in person than I am on a camera.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Safer Moon, I kind of, the only real question I had is like, you didn't use any of the metrics that like we had identified, for standardized reviews of determining whether something was a scam. And I was curious about like what you've learned since our time working together that made you change your mind about like how that should be structured, how evaluation criteria should be structured, or if you just forgot.
Yeah, this is slow pitch. Yeah, really, Nicole. This one, it's among a few. It's among a few projects that I've done recently for bounties. Just to carve out more time to be able to get in front of the camera, because otherwise I just don't feel motivated to do it. Straight up, it's really that simple.
Cool. I kind of tore Safe Moon new one in an interview and got serious hardcore attacked by the Safe Moon army.
Safe Moon or Safer Moon? Because Safer Moon was kind of
Moon. Safe Moon. They're both hourglass contracts though.
Yeah, but also for disambiguation for your audience, they are different projects. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, so, and somebody in your audience is saying, did somebody actually launch something called Safer Moon? Yes, somebody actually did. It's affinity branding, right? It's affinity marketing. And I saw that and thought, okay, you guys are desperate to get a little like that many more mentions. So let's work a deal. We'll do a review and we'll take a look at it. As far as it being
Moon coming soon, you're probably right.
It's probably already minted, guys. That's the thing. If you can imagine it right now, it was minted like 6 months ago. It already pumped. You missed your entry point. Sorry. We're just not that special. We're not. There's always somebody minting a new token, and we're missing the private sale every day. Chop, chop. Get more private sales, guys. Richard said it today to Ran. Go find yourself some more scams.
Yeah, find some scams. All right, so I want to throw something out there before I ask you my very last question, and that is I think that there's a possibility that some of the traction that HEX did gain, even though it was, small, was because you let me have a discussion, really, I was learning about HEX I didn't own any when I first brought it up on your stream, but despite the fact that it was controversial and that you knew that, we would probably take some heat from it, you were open to having a conversation about it on your stream. I think that you may be responsible for some of the awareness about the product.
Well, it's very kind of you to bring that up. Let me out myself here, guys, because I'm getting some weird comments from your comment section. I won't like take any of them directly, and I don't take any of them personally, guys. Right? This is just like when you're in front of the camera, you have to have thick skin. So as you know, back at that time, I built support for HEX into an e-commerce payment gateway, so that on the Mine Your Biz e-commerce shop, it would be possible to accept HEX. And privately, I talked to my brother, who was an older Bitcoin holder, who would have qualified for the airdrop. Said, "Hey, it's an airdrop. Just like it's free. Why wouldn't you just go accept it? Just an airdrop. Like it doesn't change who you are fundamentally. It doesn't make you any kind of person. It's not a political statement or anything to just say, yeah, I've got this much Bitcoin. This much is being offered. If I just sign here, why not go accept an airdrop?" He said no. We recently spoke, and he regrets that at that same time.
I bet.
He had the Bitcoin holdings that it would have actually been significant enough to do that. So yeah, so I get it. Like airdrops are cool. Airdrops are really, really cool. And it's one of the, if you're looking at something that is meant to be a staking system, it's one of the only ways you can claim to have a fair launch is to have some kind of an airdrop mechanism. And further still, to have an airdrop mechanism that rides the coattails of proof of work. As far as established systems in cryptocurrency go, there's only so many onboarding mechanisms, and proof of stake tends to fail pretty hard if you don't have an airdrop that identifies people who already provided value. And the established way of providing value was always proof of work. So yeah, you're not talking to somebody who's like, you know what, never, dead set, this project is evil and the founders themselves are evil. Like, no, there's definitely merit. There's again, I'm always going to have that skepticism.
Sure, skepticism is healthy, and I'm skeptical.
Yeah, but I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, I try to be as open-minded as I can be. What I try not to do when I can avoid it is become into like a serial shiller, right, on my channel.
Yeah. No, I know. This is Discourse Syndicate. This, Yeah. This is a. But I talk about other things. I'm one of the only people who does talk about other things. But I do.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right. So, Seth.
Yes.
Can you build a bridge with me?
Well, oh my gosh, this is weird, guys. It's my left hand.
You have to. Okay, so it's the opposite of the way that you want to go, and you want to go across your body. Okay.
All right, guys. It's just weird because in this episode we already did a coin launch. Audience, give me an F in the chat if you know if you're going to be on board for my next coin launch. It's called Eiffel Tower.
Oh no! Why'd you have to do that?
Oh!
All right, we built.
You guys heard it here first.
Show your links, so anybody who wants to follow you can follow you.
Yeah, guys, I did make it weird. Go to sub.myb.lol and you will subscribe to my channel. I talk about more technical stuff that's kind of more proof of work oriented. If you're into that sort of thing, like very similar to Nerd Girl, try not to give like overly emphatic recommendations. Just try to bring you fairly objective stuff when I can. Everybody has their bias, but I try to talk more about the proof of work stuff and what you can do that is kind of bridges the gap between cryptocurrencies and then businesses that you would normally run in tech startup land, thinking about like hedging equipment, using mining gear to hedge your bets and hedge your investments. It's just a different way to do it. And but I really appreciate you having me on the show. And guys, sub.myb.lol, that'll show you all the links.
Really appreciate you being here, Seth. All right, everyone, I will see you, I'm sure before Saturday, because we're doing a 17-day stream. So like people are going to be needing to fill in and whatever, but I'll see you guys for sure. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.